We'd like to begin this podcast by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Whadjuk Noongar people, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. And we're back again, Mel. Here we are, episode 22 of Talking Couch Potatoes. How are you?
I'm pretty good, thanks.
That's good. What did you think of the last one? I loved last week's episode.
It was Grant.
The Grant. He was such a lovely fella and so well spoken. And you could tell his heart was really in it.
Yeah. I've noticed a few of our followers have put just small comments about animals that they've lost and tagged people that I know have just lost animals. So it's nice to see that
sharing,
and that people are prepared to talk about it. And I loved his saying of grief is love trying to find a home.
Wasn't that lovely?
Yeah.
This week, we've got another awesome interview. You just know some awesome people, Mel. You really are very well connected.
Very lucky.
Very lucky. So we're going to have a chat to Karen today from the Dogs Refuge Home. When I say we, actually I'm a dirty, filthy liar because this week Mel is taking the interviewing chair. Going to interview Karen from Dogs Refuge Home. I think you'll be awesome. I would love to be there, but Bunny, Bunny, my beautiful princess greyhound.
Yes.
Bunny and I are getting our nails done together.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, we're having a daddy-daughter date. I think she's going to go with pink sparkles. I'm doing pink sparkles.
Yeah.
She's not really into pink.
No.
And then we'll go home, we'll spoon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Watch a movie.
We'll watch a movie. She'll fall asleep.
Yep.
She'll startle wake, scare the shit out of me, and it'll be lovely. Anyway, what have we got happening lately, Mel? Can I just mention again, there's not long left for the petition, is there?
That's right. Nope. We have until 12th of August to use the online form.
Yep.
So, everybody get your computer out, your laptop, your device, whatever you have, log on to the Parliament website or our website or Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're on all platforms and find the link and put your name down.
And it's really, really easy. It's so easy to do. I've done it. Also, there's something else going on, isn't there? The Avon Descent, Mel. What's happening around that? Yeah,
so we're going to be at the Avon Descent at various stages throughout it. So, for instance, there's 2J at the start of it. Then there's Bayswater and Lilac Hill Park on the Sunday. So have a look for some roaming hounds and their slaves and petitions to sign.
Brilliant. So that's next Saturday, 10th of August. You're going to be at 2J.
Yep.
And Bayswater and Lilac Hill Park in Guildford on Sunday, the 11th of August. So get along there and then you can sign the little paper version because guess what, kids? We still use paper sometimes.
We do. Or you can use your QR code. We'll have both.
Yep. And if you get in touch with Free the Hounds as well, you can get posters, you can get QR codes if you want to share it with friends. You can also get merch. There's merch available.
Yep. Go to our website and have a look.
T-shirts.
Yep, because if you are wearing something that says Free the Hounds, it starts conversation.
It does.
It's all about education, talking to people and trying to raise awareness of what happens during greyhound racing and to those dogs that aren't lucky enough to get to a rescue once they're done.
Yep. Get onto it, folks. There's lots happening really at the moment. Also, I'm going to go to this, Mel. I'm right into this one. I'm going to the Top Dog Film Festival. Did you know about that?
Yeah, well, only because our star Gemma was out front of it the last time that we had a petition, getting people to sign it a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
A great night with films all about dogs, different short films about dogs.
Gem basically wanders, when she's not working, she wanders the streets, various suburbs, soliciting people for an amazing cause.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Top Dog Film Festival, Friday 9th and Saturday the 10th of August. I'll be there. So, come along if you listen to the podcast.
And you might be able to get an autograph.
You can say hi to me. Say hi. Yeah, Matt the podcaster. Yeah. Before we move on, Mel, and you run off to my nail appointment, our little podcast, listened across the globe by 20 different countries. We've added 2 more, Mel. Would you believe?
That's great.
Which country are we hoping it's, which country I really want?
We want Greenland.
Greenland. Are you listening, Greenland? Obviously not. But, however, Finland and Mexico are now listening.
Wow.
Finland or Finland?
Finland.
Finland?
I say Finland.
Hi, Finland. Are they near Greenland?
Yes, up that neck of the woods.
Right. If you're
It's not like a stone's throw.
if you're our Finland listener, could you ring your buddy in Greenland? Tell him Talking Couch Potatoes really want you on board. I won't be satisfied until
We won't
greyhound
be.
racing ends and Greenland is a part of it.
Part of the podcast.
Yeah. And also Mexico.
Interesting point about Mexico is they just shut down their last track there in Tijuana.
They've finally shut it down in Mexico.
It's done. The Mexicans are ahead of Australia.
I'd like to say this to the WA government. Do you want to do the same thing? Thanks. As you know, I love this podcast so much, and I love the people I get to talk to. The stats section I find a little bit harrowing, but we need to know what's going on. So what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is for the second quarter of 2024. So 6 greyhounds were killed on track. 9 were deceased off track, and they were all previously injured on track though, but they left alive, but are now all deceased. 16 greyhounds suffered a major injury, so they were told, they couldn't race for 90 days. Of those 16, I believe all of them have been retired. 1 for a 60-day stand down. And then there was 138 that were stood down for a period of between 59 and 5 days. So a wide variety of injuries. 99 suffered no apparent injury. So after a fall or coming in 50 lengths behind the nearest dog, apparently no injury. And then one that really concerns us is 190 dogs that were scratched due to off-track injury. So, yeah, whether or not any of those dogs have been euthanized or, have suffered major injuries, we won't know until the reports come out from Racing and Wagering.
Mel, what's the period for those stats?
That's 3 months.
3 months. So by my rough calculations, somewhere around 360 dogs in some way or another were injured or came into some kind of trouble. Of those, 15 died.
Yes.
16.
They've suffered a major injury, those
Right.
16.
So 31 dogs with really big problems.
And it well could be more because those off-track ones, as I've said, of those 190, we don't know any severities or any details around those injuries.
And that's in 3 months. That's just the last 3 months. So how long do we want to keep this going? How many more? How much more death and injury and pain do we want to put these gorgeous creatures through?
I know.
Boggles my brain.
And for that, the trainer's subsidy, the trainers got paid $597,000. The prize money or the stake money for injuring all of those dogs was $4,769,000. The breeding bonus during that period was $278,000 for breeding more dogs that we can't rehome. And the welfare payment or the welfare amount that was put aside, $47,000.
So if you want to really understand episode 20, if you want to go back to it, Mel did an amazing job with the estimates committee hearing. That does a deeper dive in just how intertwined your taxpayer dollar
Exactly.
is going toward this blood sport. And I'm going to keep calling it a blood sport, Mel, because it is.
Well, it is. It is. So almost $5.7 million in that quarter. Think of what we could do with $5.7 million.
I could do with some, as I've mentioned before, I work in mental health with teenagers who need some really big intensive support. We could do with $5 million.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's just one quarter. Yep.
Thanks, Mel. Now it's my time to step out, I think. Mel's going to take over from here. As I mentioned, Bunny and I, hi Bunny, we've got a little nails appointment together. Good luck, Mel. I can't wait to listen to how well you do. Say hi to Karen for me, and I'll see you next week when we talk to our mystery guest, Blue the Grey.
Okay, so as Matt mentioned, he's now left the studio, but I am here today with our very special guest, Karen Rhodes, and she is the current president of the Dogs Refuge Home here in Perth. Karen and her team work tirelessly to rehome and help dogs in need, and she's been involved at the refuge for more than 18 years and president for 15, and that's all volunteer, mind you. And she started her journey with the refuge when she first adopted her dog. So thank you so much, Karen, for coming in today.
Not at all. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh no, I've met you, I think about 4 or 5 years ago when I first started with Free the Hounds, wanting to understand a bit what was going on, because I remember being so shocked that greyhound industry was able to, breed dogs without any sort of caps or anything, and here you guys were trying to struggle so much to get each dog rehomed.
Exactly.
That had been abandoned through no fault of its own. So can you just give us a bit of a history on the refuge, or how sort of it came about and what it does, what its core is?
So we were established in 1935. There was an amazing lady, Constance Horrocks, who was sort of looking through the paper and having an eye on what was going on out there, and said there's lots of rescues around Australia, but we didn't have one in WA. And so she wrote a petition and wrote to the West Australian and got a group of her friends and neighbours together, and they petitioned the government, and we got the refuge started. So that was in 1935, long time ago. So it was always sort of driven by the ladies, and really we've been going ever since. Thanks to probably 85% of the workforce and volunteers are female. I know during the war times we had to sort of close for a little bit, and the ladies got in and built some new kennels. And we've been going ever since. We're an amazing organisation, lots of history, we feel part of the fabric of WA for a long, long time. It's our 90th next year, so we're going to be celebrating that. And we did a book a couple of years ago, and we sort of really looked at the history, which is just fantastic. So it's a worthwhile book if anyone wants to have a read of it. But the sad thing was, when we looked over the years, and there was photos of puppies being abandoned in, washing baskets, and you sort of think, wouldn't you think things would have changed over the years? And there we were having puppies dumped on our doorstep or in a bin or in a park, and nothing's changed. That's what's really disheartening about it.
Yeah, it's really difficult. And that's, I think, with greyhound racing as well, the thing that has changed is that they used to just euthanize most of the dogs. There was no greyhounds sort of seen in the community. Yeah. But now, because they want to continue with their social licence, they've had to keep the dogs alive after racing, which then we feel poses a problem for rescues like the refuge home, because all of a sudden you've got another 500 plus dogs a year needing homes.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there's a massive overpopulation of dogs in WA at the moment. Like, it is tragic. It's dire. I've never seen anything like it. All the rescues are in the same boat. So the thought of purposefully breeding dogs when there's already this mass overpopulation, there are God knows how many dogs euthanized in WA every week, probably over 100. So for an organisation to be purposefully breeding more and more dogs that are ultimately going to need that second chance and that home, it's just not making sense. We need to be pushing for sterilisation programs. There needs to be a lot of awareness about rescue, adoption and sterilisation. That is the key. Without more sterilisation, it's not sustainable. The way things are at the moment is just not sustainable.
No, you're right. It isn't. That, and as you say about greyhound racing purposely doing that, that's actually the government funding that and sanctioning it.
Yeah.
So I often say that greyhound racing is WA's largest puppy farm. And it's government sanctioned and paid for by tax dollars.
Exactly, whereas that money should be going towards sterilisation programs, because I know in the past, if rescues have had a problem, it seems to be a financial problem. Now the problem is we just don't have enough homes in WA. We don't have enough foster homes. There are more and more litters. Like, every day I get a text or a phone call from someone, they've got an unwanted litter. We've got volunteers on the way to Narrogin now to collect 6 puppies. And then a local pound called about an hour ago, and they've got another 4. And it's just, I've never, ever known anything like it. Like, we have to sterilise these dogs. So we, as other rescues do, if we get the puppies in, we always sterilise the mum for free. But that's like one dog. There are so many out there that need sterilising. And the last thing anyone should be doing is breeding.
So how do they become pregnant, if you like? Are a lot of the puppies... sorry, that sounded really silly. I know how they become pregnant. But is it that it's a pet dog that gets out of the yard? Are these breeders where they've just got too many dogs so they dump them? What is the usual scenario?
It's changed over the years. So I think during COVID, so we had this sort of euphoric time for about a month or two over COVID. We had like 1 or 2 dogs in our pound. We're thinking, oh my God, this is it. we've solved the problem, because everyone was working from home. Everyone knows dogs, man's best friend. So everyone wanted company and everyone was adopting and getting dogs, which was great. The problem was during that time there almost wasn't enough dogs because everyone was at home, wanted a dog. So there was lots of unscrupulous people thinking, right, we can make some money here. So let's go out and do lots of backyard breeding and we can get a quick buck for these puppies. What happened then was people started going back to work, so the demand wasn't there. There's this overpopulation of puppies. There's no one to adopt, so they were giving them away for $50, $100. They certainly weren't following up to make sure any of them were sterilised. So then you've got this mass, like lots of breeding. All these puppies out there, none of them are sterilised. No one can afford sterilisation, and I think that's where we're at now. So the puppies that we've got, like the ones this morning, it was unplanned. Male and female got together. She'd always planned on sterilising, didn't get round to it. Accidental litters. So I think now there's a lot more accidental litters. A couple of years ago, there was some really dedicated backyard breeders that were making a lot of money. They weren't paying tax. They thought it was great. And they're just using and abusing the dogs, which is what a lot of people do, unfortunately. Now there's no market for those litters. Like the lady called me and she said, I've been trying to give them away for free. And the only people that are putting their hands up, I wouldn't want them to have one of my puppies. So can you please take them? So, we've gone down, we've collected them, we've given her food for her other dogs. The pups are really skinny because she can't afford to feed them. So we've given her some food because we're lucky we get food donated from the public. Public's amazing. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the generosity of the public. And so we've said to her, the money that you were going to use on food, you need to sterilise your dog because she couldn't get the dog in. And that's now booked in next week. So at least that's one dog that won't. Yep. But she didn't breed that dog. That was just accidental, and there's lots, unfortunately, of accidental litters. We had a dog brought in yesterday from a pound. It was found in a bin and it was heavily pregnant. Gorgeous kelpie, found in a skip bin by the rangers. Got her in. She started giving birth about 3 hours ago. She had her first one and hasn't had one since, so she's now on the way to the vet to have an ultrasound and make sure one's not stuck in the canal, because obviously they should be coming out every hour. Yeah. But no wonder she's stressed and not giving a she's been in a bin. Like, that was just too hard basket. Dog got pregnant. What do I do? I mean, obviously there's a lot of things you could have done rather than put the dog in the bin, but that's what we're facing. Yeah. That's the situation.
It's terrible, isn't it? And why don't the rangers, because they're generally part of the city or the council, the region that they're in, why don't they get the veterinary care? Why do they then call you, who is a rescue, when presumably they would have some government funding behind them already to be able to help these dogs?
Well, ideally we should be paid for every dog that we take, because, I mean, the sad fact is, if a dog can't be rehomed, if there's no rescue, ultimately they have to euthanize the dog. That's the fact. If no one's coming forward and the rescuer can't take it, they have to pay to euthanize that dog. Just give us the money. If it's $100 to euthanize a dog, for every dog that we take, if we got $100, at least that would go towards some of the vaccination, flea, microchip. Obviously, it's not going to cover sterilisation, but at least it's a small contribution towards us. At the moment, we're taking all that problem away. Their euthanasia rates look better, but we're the ones that are funding it. And when I say we, it's the community, because it's
Absolutely.
the community that fund us. We're self-funded. Yes, we get a small amount from the government, but it doesn't even go close to what we pay to look after each dog. And sterilisation, our vet bills have doubled in the last year, because previously we went back over the years, like 2 or 3 years ago, probably 35% of the dogs that came into our care needed sterilising. Now we're at 73%. So that's just a doubling of our vet bills. I mean, vet bills have gone up, yes, but also we're sterilising double the amount of dogs. So our vet bills are just going through the roof. We need support for that, or someone needs to help with paying with that. Like I say, the government needs to help with sterilisation programs rather than funding more puppies being bred.
Yeah, and they pay for the sterilisation of every greyhound that comes out of the industry. So if they can pay for a greyhound whose owner has earned tax-free dollars because it's a hobby, and then because the government knows that these people won't take the time to give their dog a dental and have their dog desexed, they pay for it. So why aren't they paying you guys for every dog that you take out of their pound?
Yeah.
Can I just ask, when you talk about euthanasia, where do the euthanasias usually occur? Is it people taking it to their own vet? I know it's a bit of a sad question.
No, it's not. So first of all, in regional pounds, if there's not many, and I know people don't want to hear this, but if there's not many vets there, they will shoot them, just because if they can't keep the dog there, they don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
And I feel really sorry for the rangers that have to make that decision.
I can't imagine.
But if we don't go and save the dog and no one else goes and save the dogs, what do we expect them to do? Just leave them in the pound while more dogs come in? In local pounds, they have to take them to the vets if they can't rehome the dog. And lots of the general public, we get 20, 30 calls, sometimes more every day. I need to surrender my dog. If you won't take the dog, I am going to have to take it to the vets. I feel really sorry for vets. It's no wonder they've got a really high suicide rate.
100%.
They've gone into the industry because they love animals. They want to save them. They haven't gone in there to euthanize healthy dogs that just have nowhere else to go. Must just be so heartbreaking. And we're getting more and more calls from vets saying, can you possibly take this dog? They've brought it in. It shouldn't be euthanized, but this owner doesn't want the dog anymore. They can't have it financially. They can't. So many where they can't afford the medical, they call us. We then go to bed at night. We can't sleep because we know we've said no. We can't justify a $6,000 operation. We've got 250 dogs of our own, and you want us, like vets will call us and say, will you pay for this? Dog because they know it's a nice dog and the owner can't afford it. So
it is. It's heartbreaking. We've had that in the greyhound rescue where a dog was injured in training. The trainer took it to the vet to be euthanized. The vet rang and said, look, we've got a really lovely dog. He wasn't even 2 years old, broken leg, and we couldn't. We just had simply nowhere, because then you've got a dog that's also rehabilitating, which, of course, as you know, you don't just have the cost of the surgery, it's the aftermath of that. There is so many elements to this that people have no idea about. And we go to bed at night feeling guilty because we haven't saved a dog. Yet there's other people on the other side that just have no qualms with walking into a vet and going, here you go, I don't want it anymore.
It's unfair. The balance is it's
wrong.
Out of, like my mum always talks about goodies and baddies. And I always think in our industry, you almost need 10 goodies to outdo the work of one baddie.
Absolutely.
So you've got one unscrupulous person out there that's doing the wrong thing, and there's an army of 10 volunteers who are trying to help save that dog, raise funds to pay for the puppies, to pay for the sterilisation. It's just wrong. The balance is wrong. Everyone needs to be doing the right thing, especially the government.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's awareness as well. Like, I've always thought when I first got involved, because I'm from the UK, and we just don't have the same problem over there. I mean, yes, you've got rescue dogs, but nowhere near the numbers. The numbers here are just through the roof. And my first thing was, right, well, I'll find out what the policies are in the UK and we'll try and get them implemented. There's it's not government over there. It's the community that will not allow, like if puppies were sold in a pet shop, there'd be an army of people there with their placards, protesting, saying, don't buy from here. The community will not allow it, and we shouldn't allow it. We shouldn't allow puppies to be sold in pet shops. We shouldn't allow greyhound racing. But it's the awareness. If you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, like all of the investigations that have happened, once people realise how bad it is, I'm sure they would stop supporting it, I hope, because most people do have a conscience and want to do the right thing. But the awareness just isn't high enough. When you people will come in and say, oh, I don't know, I really want a dog that's allergy free and I want one that's not going to shed hair and you just think, go and get a stuffed toy somewhere and put it on the side. We shouldn't be there trying to breed this utopia of a dog. At the end of the day, they're sentient beings. They are man's best friend. The best thing in my mind that's ever been created. You should feel privileged to own a dog. You shouldn't sit there and dictate, oh, it's got to look like this and it can't do that and it can't bark and it can't this and it's just ridiculous. We change our mindset that we should all feel really grateful and really privileged to own a dog. And what's happening out there, the number of dogs that are euthanized every week in WA is frightening. The number of dogs that are unsterilised is frightening. If we could raise the awareness about that, hopefully if more people do the right thing, we don't need government to come in and stop puppies being sold in pet shops. Theoretically, that's what's going to happen. But the community have the power to do that. If no one goes to a pet shop and buys a puppy, they're going to go broke. If no one bets on greyhound racing or goes, there's no industry there. We have the power. The community has the power to change it.
Absolutely.
We need to do it.
Absolutely. We have so much power if we come together and speak out. particularly in a pre-election year, and that's why we're trying to push with our petition, is that we do have the power.
Yeah.
We know if vets all refused to work at the racetrack, they couldn't have races. So we struggle with that because it could so simply be at least slowed down if vets did that.
You need to talk to one of them. I don't know if they'd come on, but it would be amazing just to get that inside, even if they went incognito and we changed their voice. It would be so.
I know.
It would be so interesting just to get their point of view across.
Yeah, we do. We put call-outs all the time. We've actually asked Racing and Wagering if they would come on. We didn't hear back from them. They do have a policy that there is to be no talk of greyhound racing on social media or anything like that. Oh, and there was just one thing I was going to speak about. With your dogs, do you have many in foster care?
We've got more in foster at the moment than we've ever had, so which is amazing. But the scary thing for us is all of our kennels are full. So all it needs is for 4 or 5 of them to call up and say, oh, I can't foster this dog anymore. I need to bring it back. It's like, oh, my God, where are we going to put it? Because we are literally, like, every office has 1 dog, some have 2. Every single kennel has 1 dog, some has 2. Every foster carer has got, at the moment, lots of litters of puppies out there. Yeah, so we've got lots and lots in foster.
Yeah, because we've found too that GAP, or Greyhounds as Pets, which is the industry rehoming group, they have foster carers as well, or ask for the public to foster greyhounds. And they're building a $6 million new kennel in Southern River. And it's supposed to have 100 kennels, space for 100 dogs, and they're still asking for foster carers in the community. And I think, well, surely you should leave the foster carers and the public that will help to the rescues.
Yeah.
Leave them alone.
Yeah.
You've got the money. If you want people, then pay for it. So,
absolutely.
Or build more kennels, but they're still going to only be sort of kennelled longer.
It's just a vicious cycle.
It is.
Kennels are no place for dogs. I mean, we're lucky. We've got really nice kennels. We've got underfloor heating in winter and cooling in summer. So we're very proud of our kennels, but it's no place. They need to be in a home. And we're fortunate we've got an army of volunteers that comes in every day. So all the dogs get out. Obviously, they get fed really well. We spoil them as much as we can, but they should really be in a home. Whereas I can't imagine those dogs are getting lots of TLC and love every day.
They've got, I think, 4 employed staff that are there. But again, it's volunteers that go in and walk the dogs and play with them. So again, asking for volunteers that could be at other rescues.
Yeah.
So if you're paying $24 million to participants throughout a race year, maybe cut that back a bit and give some more funding to staff and pay people to work for you.
Yeah, and make a bigger difference because at the moment something has to change. Something has to seriously change because this is not sustainable.
Yeah. Will the puppy farming bill do anything to help, do you think?
To be honest, not that much.
No.
I don't think it's going to have that much of an impact. I mean, we have to stop pet shops selling dogs. That's obviously. We should have done that many, many years ago. But again, the community could have stopped that by just not buying from pet shops. And the bill will have a small impact, but not a massive one.
Yeah,
at the moment, we just need lots of sterilisation programs running and lots of awareness about what's going on out there. Because if you do talk to someone and you explain, most people do feel really bad and they say, right, it has to be a rescue. There's no way I'd get a dog from anywhere else other than a rescue. And there's the perception that all rescue dogs have got a problem. Honestly, they're just dogs that have been let down by their owner and they've ended up with us. There's no problems. There's, if we've got the odd couple of dogs that need behavioural training, then we do the behavioural training and we get someone in. The majority are just dogs that need that second chance. And if they've got sort of kids and cats and we've got more puppies than, we've ever had. So there's no reason at the moment for someone not to rescue.
Yeah, because a puppy can grow up in your home and be socialised exactly as you want it to be.
Exactly. Yeah. And it is about that socialisation. That's really, really important. Yeah. So long as people are in it for the right reasons, they're ready for the commitment, honestly, it's the best feeling, as you know. Rescuing a dog is just the best feeling in the world. And I think we always say rescue dogs love you more. It's like they know that they've been given that second chance. And the first time round, they probably weren't treated that well, whereas now they sort of you can see in their eyes, they're just so grateful for the love and the care and the attention that they get. It's just the best feeling.
I think they rescue us more than we do them.
Yeah. And you mention it being a volunteer thing, and it is, and it's changed my life incredibly. Financially, it's had a massive impact on me. And like all of my friends say, my life's gone to the dogs, which it probably has. I never go out and dress up anymore. But I tell you, I couldn't be any happier. So it's definitely has a really positive impact in the right way.
Yeah.
If you get into rescue and helping, it's so rewarding. And just the other people that are in rescue, it's just that same mindset. You know, you're working with like-minded people and making a change.
Yeah,
and you sort of realise, when I mentioned in the UK how it's not really government related, like if you go to a barbecue and someone sort of comes in and says they've got a dog, and straight away, oh, where did you get it from? The Dogs Trust? Did you get it from Battersea? If someone said, oh no, I went to a breeder, or God forbid, I got it from some pet shop somewhere, it's like going in and starting smoking in front of someone. Like, that is not socially acceptable, and it shouldn't be socially acceptable. Like, it really, you should all want to do the right thing. If you love dogs, you've got to contribute. And there's so many ways, but we always say there's 5 ways you can contribute. So you can adopt, obviously fantastic. If you can't adopt, foster. If you can't foster, donate, because we always need money. If you can't donate, volunteer, because we always need volunteers. But if you can't do any of that, just spread the word. Just spread the word about which is fantastic that you're helping us do that today. Just spread the word about rescue and about the work we do and the work that all other rescues do. And then if you get to 1 or 2 people and that's 2 lives you've saved, 2 dogs' lives, and those dogs are then sterilised, so they're not out there producing. So really spreading the word is the only way. I'd love to talk to someone who doesn't think rescue is a good idea, because I'd love to have that argument. I love a good argument. Yeah, I just can't imagine how someone would not think that rescue is a good idea.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming today, Karen, and for I know you're always so busy, and for putting up with me hounding you, pardon the pun, to come on and chat to us. We really appreciate it.
Not at all. Thanks for the opportunity, and I really, really hope we can free the hounds at some stage. Please,
we will.
God. Yeah,
we will. We're not stopping until we do. It's the wrong thing. So, and in the end, the right thing prevails eventually.